Hello, everybody out there. This is Jonathan Bengal, and apparently you're looking at two of my guests right now, but there we go. We'll do it in gallery view. My name is Jonathan Bengal, and I'm the host of a show called Naked Tax Talk, where we bear down to the naked truth about who we are in our personal lives, our business lives, and of course, our monetary lives. What I know to be true is that when we improve upon the self, the business improves, and of course, the money improves. Why, honey bunnies? Because money is simply a symbolism of how energy flows from one to the next. Also, when we improve upon the self, our businesses also improve, and naturally, so does the money. And when you work with someone like me, an IRS enrolled agent, certified tax coach, and a certified tax planner, the taxes go down. So I'm really excited that I've got two really fun guests here to meet today with me, named Stephen and Airel Taylor. And actually, they were a little bit bombarded into today's episode, but I promised them that I was going to answer their questions to the fullest that we can, both for their benefit and also for you, my viewers' benefit as well. So before we go on, Stephen and Airel, tell us a little about like who you are, and by the way, what's the name of your baby, aka your business, and what is it going to do, and what is it all about?
Um, so I'm from Louisiana and I'm 29. And I want to open my own salon, but we like to move around. So I want it to be a mobile salon. So like an RV style with a full service salon. So I can color and cuts and kids cuts and also make it more accessible to people that can't leave their homes and, that kind of thing. So
I like that.
sorry. And the name is Here and There Beauty Bar.
I hear
And there.
I hear there. What?
Here and There Beauty Bar.
Here and oh, I get it. Here and there, beauty
Yeah.
salon. Now, and it's mobile. So where are we located?
Phoenix, Arizona.
So we're in Phoenix, Arizona. So we're neighbors. I'm based here in downtown. Well, today I'm working from home, but now. So down here in Phoenix, Arizona. So that's perfect. So I have to ask, how did you guys come up with this idea?
Um,
This was her.
yeah. I was having a hard time in salons and not having the greatest, like working for other people. But we move around so much because my husband's prior military. And so I could not make myself invest in a salon and then leave in a couple years. So I didn't want to do it, but he just kept saying, well, you really should work for yourself. You'd like it so much more. And so, I don't know, it just came to me one night, I think. And I was like, that sounds like the perfect solution. So here we are.
So Stephen, so in your role as her, I assume husband?
Yes.
So by the way, thank you so much for protecting my rights and every rights here in America. So thank you for that. And thank you for your service. So, Stephen, so what do you see in your wife that she does not see that you would say to her, do your own thing, babe?
So, for the past 9 years, she's worked at probably 4 or 5 different salons / hair places. And at 3 of them, she's been, well, one mainly, she's been pretty much the person running it. And she's opened, done all the paperwork she needed to do. She buys the color or whatever product she needs. And she would communicate with the other people, like scheduling wise. They would always talk, and somebody might need to change out for a different day. And she was doing a lot of like manager-esque stuff, pretty much running the whole show. And I felt that she can completely do it herself and get rid of, say she's working for commission for 65%, go from 65% to 100%.
Why not? Why not? So you were encouraging Airel to take control of her destiny.
Yes.
And as a result, the IRS is in agreement with you, Stephen. The government that you protect as well is an agreement with you because the government says, you know what, Ariel, because you decided to take control of your life, of your destiny, we're going to allow you to make a shit ton of money at the same time, reduce your taxes so that you can continue to deliver your message. So you should know that, Ariel, you as an entrepreneur, and you have your husband who's acting as that support for you, right? He's acting as that person there that's going to help you, to uplift you when times get hard, when it feels like you're not making the deals you're making, or it feels like you're working 24/7, that kind of stuff. Your husband is going to be there for you as that rock, that stability. Don't be afraid to lean into him and allow him to continue to be your cheerleader. He's your number one cheerleader. And I know this because he's telling you, do your own thing, babe. So Uncle Sam agrees with him. And so what happens next is you decide, okay, well, she can do this. She's got this, right? Ariel, you've already proven that you can do this because he just said you managed an entire salon by yourself, right? So if you did that, that means that you have the confidence, you have the skill sets to deliver, not only to make yourself a little bit of commissions, but you actually made money for those business owners, right? So we know that when you start this and you kick this off and you go full speed down the road, that you're really going to be capable of doing it all with the maximum benefit of providing happiness to other people. Because do you know what the opposite of happiness is?
Sadness.
Yes, suffering, right? Suffering. We all suffer in the same way. I suffer from big poofy hair. So who do I go see? I go see my stylist who trims me up, makes me look cute, right? I think you cut your husband's hair, am I right? Because you make him look cute, right? So if you can make your husband look cute, imagine what you do for us other guys, right? But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So it's about removing the suffering of others. And this is what you're doing as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
So I promised you that I was going to answer 2 of your tax questions. Are you ready to ask? Or at least one of your, or many of your questions, but at least 2.
Okay. So, where to start? Maybe I should start with the situation we're in right now before I actually ask a question.
Let's talk about that.
So we just started this and we just applied for our business licenses. We just got them back. We're waiting on salon license stuff and credit card for our business so we can start paying for stuff that way. And while all this was getting ready, I actually got a tasking to be gone here soon.
Okay.
Like a short one. So like really, really soon leaving and not being here to do the
Plumbing, electrical,
all
like
the stuff that we were doing for
everything
the
inside
RV,
of the
the whole
RV.
renovation.
Oh, okay.
is postponed for 6 months now.
Okay.
Because it's gonna cost so much money to hire someone to do all those things. So,
Or you do it yourself, basically.
I was gonna do
Right.
all the interior stuff, moving the plumbing around, doing the electrical stuff. So everything's in one place and
Okay.
you don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be able to do that now.
Okay.
I had made our expense plan based on me doing everything.
Okay.
And now if we want to continue with her getting the RV now, it would be way more expensive.
Got it.
We've also talked about just kind of not having the RV, but that kind of defeats what she wanted to do.
Which is the mobility of going around and seeing
Yes.
people and so forth. Yes.
Being ready for everything. So I think we need, I guess, an evaluation of our funds to be able to determine what we should do, if we should maybe try to apply for some loans, if we should just do it a different way until I get back and then I can do it. If we have if we have the funds to just do it now, that'd be great, but I guess we could wait, so.
So the reason why we can't move forward is because we're unsure, we're insecure. I call this PFI syndrome, personal financial insecurity. So as long as we're in a space of insecurity, it's difficult to make decisions to move forward. And so that's where you're at. You're in the space of insecurity. You don't know, like you said, do I borrow it? Do I just shell it out? Do I use a credit? Like, right? Like, how do I do this? Right. So my question for you is, you don't have to give me exact numbers, but approximately how much would it be that if you've done, because you've done your research, I can tell you've done your research. How much would it cost for someone else to do the job for you?
I haven't done the research for somebody else to do it yet.
Okay.
I just did all the research for how much it would cost me to do it.
Okay.
But I could.
So that's one thing. So let's shine some light in that little corner of the room, which is we need to know how much it would cost for someone else to actually do the job for you. Because maybe you'll be surprised and maybe it's just an extra few thousand, a couple thousand or whatever, or maybe it is astronomical and it's, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then now, but at least you will know, should I wait the 6 months till I come back? Or let's just move forward and make this thing happen so my wife can go do what she does best, which is to beautify people. So one thing we want to look at then is, so once we figured that part out, all right, the next question becomes cash, right? The cash flow. This is also the other issue we're concerned with, right? Mm-hmm. Is putting forth this money. So out of curiosity, have you guys already determined your legal entity structure?
No.
Okay. So that's a conversation for another time. And maybe when you guys become students of mine through rapidtaxsavingsformula.com, there's where I talk about the 4 major types of entity structures, both from a legal perspective, but also from a tax perspective. And these are things that we really want to consider in the birth of your baby. So by the way, in Rapid, I talk about your businesses like children. And so what I would ask you now is to start thinking about Here Nor There Beauty Salon as a baby. And right now, you guys are kind of in the love making section, right? Kind of making love making right now, having baby making time, right? And really, and you're conceptualizing it, right? Like this is what you would do. Yeah, guys. By the way, do you guys have children now?
Yes.
There you go. So when you were thinking, like you were like, oh, let's have a baby, right? Well, that's this conversation, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
And so baby making time, right? And so you thought, and what did you wish for, Stephen? Boy or girl?
Boy.
There you go. What about you, Airel?
A boy.
You too. So you guys were making wishes, right? Like, okay, I want to be a boy, right? So Here Nor There is technically gender neutral, but if you wanted to apply a gender to it, you probably could. And you could be like, well, I want it to be, is it a masculine Here Nor There, or is it a feminine Here Nor There, right? And so then we gave it a name, like you do your children, right? And let me ask you, do you guys let people take advantage of your kids?
Do we?
No.
No, right? Do you rob from your kids?
No.
No, right? You might borrow money from your kids, maybe, if they're really tight, I guess they're making a little bit of money or something, right? But for the most part, you're contributing to this newborn baby, right? Actually, it's not even born. Well, it's sort of born because you already have some of your licensing and things like that, right? So this baby has come to life and it has its own everything, its name. Did you guys apply for an EIN number?
Yes, we did.
So you gave it a social security number, really, right? That's really what it is. So like every living being has one. And so therefore your business has one, an EIN. And so you're really in this process of baby creation and it's an infant. And what I'll tell you is that babies love to eat. They're always hungry, right? They drink mother's milk in this case, but businesses drink money. And more importantly, poop out expenses. And that's what it is. It's just poop expenses. That's what they do, right? And they're going to do this for a while until they morph into basically like a 5, 6, 7-year-old where they start becoming a little more independent. And therefore, it allows us to tap into their profits if they generate them, or allows us to do other things within inside that company to continue to deliver our message. So back to you, Stephen, because you're saying, okay, well, do I do it myself or have a professional do it? Now, you also said, well, should I borrow the money? Now, that is one option that you can do for sure. Absolutely. Right. Now, it depends on who you borrow the money from. So if you go to a traditional bank, they would probably put you through a lot of loopholes and a lot of things you got to get through, right? Or maybe you go to a hard lender where they don't really ask a whole lot of questions, but they sure as hell are going to charge you a huge premium on the interest, right? Or another way in which you can generate funds is you can go to investors, right? You can go to other people and go into private lending, right? Go to your mom's, your parents. My mother's too poor. She'd give me a bag of rice. So like, you could go to someone and say, hey, this is my idea. It's what I want to do. And I need X amount of dollars. And they can either lend it to you and they become the creditor and you become the creditee, right? And so you basically are going to pay them back their loan plus interest over a set period of time. We call those terms, right? Or you can try to go through like the SBA, the Small Business Administration. They tend to be really well at helping, again, small business owners get started. These are options. From an accounting perspective, when we borrow money for our business, we are only allowed to deduct the interest portion of the loan. So let's say, for example, you borrow $10,000 and the repayment is $1,100. The $1,000 is really what we call a return of principal, right? You're giving back that person back their money. And the $100 difference, that extra $100, we're going to classify that as interest expense. And that's important because when you start making revenue, charging people to cut their hairs, do their dues, their makeup, whatever, right? You're going to use that interest to offset that revenue that you're charging. So pop quiz, test your math skills. If I charge $100 to cut someone's hair and I have $100 in interest, what is my net tax income? $100 minus $100 equals
I think it's zero.
Zero. So let me ask you another tax question, right? Or another math question. 0 times 15.3%, which is the minimum tax placed upon sole proprietor single member LLCers. 0 times 15.3% equals
Zero, right?
0, right? So let's think about this. You're going to go make $100, cut some hair. I just paid back my loan. I offset it against the interest. I have 0 taxable income. That's a beautiful thing, right? We're not going to pay Uncle Sam because he's like, you got to fund your business, right? You got to pay some interest on that. Now, we have to also talk about cash flow, because cash flow is about money coming in and money going out. Money coming in is sometimes revenue. That's because you charged a price to provide a service, cut your hair, right? Or money coming in from a loan. That's a loan that belongs on your balance sheet. It's a financial statement. Or let's say an investor gives you money in exchange for a piece of the pie. So you could go to maybe a really close friend or relative or somebody, right? Or people like me that have extra cash to burn, because see, money makes money. When we have extra profit, which is where you'll be in a few years, you're going to have extra cash, and you're going to take that extra cash and you're going to invest it, and you're going to put it in places. You can put it in businesses. Like if you want to come to me, I'm not saying I will do the deal, but in theory, you could come to me and be like, Jonathan, I got a great deal for you. I need X amount of dollars to own a piece of my pie. And in exchange for owning that piece of pie, every year when we're done with the financials and the tax returns, you will get a piece of that pie back to you. We call it a K1. So, and here's something I'm not mentioning. When more than one person starts a business, whether it's you two and then me as an investor, right? Without a legal structure in place, we call this a general partnership. And so it requires its own tax return. It's called the 1065. And at the end of the year, when we file your 1065, all of the partners are going to receive this form called a K1. And it's the summary of all of your income and expenses and everything you've done the whole year. So why me as an investor would be interested is because I have tax bills of my own. And so I will grant you money in exchange for a percentage of your business. The business is going to realize a loss. Most companies do. Within the first 5 years, you will see a net loss on the books just because business is very expensive. I just told you they eat a lot. And so that helps me as an investor because I get to take some of those losses because you're going to give me a piece of that nugget, right? You're going to give me a piece of the pie. And I'm going to use it to offset my taxes. So this is how you can use that as a selling point to your investors. All right. Now, maybe you don't want them to be investors because there's another nasty side to this equation. And that is that when you start a business with someone like me, complete stranger, you're doing what I call, you're having an unplanned marriage. And so you're about to marry an investor, really. That's what you're doing with your business. So theoretically, let's say that Stephen and Aria, you both were not married and you started your Here Nor There business. By default, you would be married through the business. So just like in marriage, right? When you said, yes, I do, right? You guys gave each other something for that exchange, right? A ring, perhaps. And the ring has value, right? This is what your investors can do. They'll give you a ring, right? I promise to be yours, baby, right? Although only in business can we be polyamorous, but I digress. So essentially, here's what's going to happen. You're going to take the business and you're going to go find the investors if that's what you want to do. But here's the bad part about this, okay? So you talk about the cons. Oh, thank you, Google. So Google's reminding me of the time. So now what we're going to do is we have to create a prenuptial. So I don't know if you got married, if you created a prenuptial agreement, but if you didn't, I don't have to tell you guys, but in business, that's extremely important. And we call this a partnership agreement. If you were to form a corporation and offer shares to the business, same way, you're going to have shareholders agreements, right? So you're spelling it all out. How's the money going to be made? How are you going to split the money? When are you going to split the money? When are you going to give people back their money? If they die, how are you going to deal with that? If one of you dies, how are you going to deal with that? Right? All these questions you have to ask yourself, because kudos to you both for having a business plan. You guys uploaded it to us and I appreciate that. So what you can do is you can start thinking about these agreements that you're going to have should you start bringing in other people to own your business.
One thing I was really curious about was how we would pay ourselves, because we read that it was important to kind of keep the business separate because it's an LLC. So I'm wondering if we could pay ourselves one paycheck, or if we have to like pay each of us like separate so that we take taxes out like as like you would an employee. Would we be considered employees, or are we just the owners?
I love that question. How do you pay yourself? It's the number one question I get all the time. Before I answer that question, I have to put to rest the other question then, and we'll move on to your question. So you get your investors, you get the partners, you choose not to do that. So you can do the loans, right? Or you can contribute your own money to your business. Now, this is important because let's say, for example, that I don't have my wallet on me, darn it. But we would agree that a $20 bill represents $20, right? And so I contribute, this is the accounting term, I contribute $20 and I give it to my baby, right? Because my baby needs to live. I told you, he eats money. So it gets $20 and we call that a contribution. And over time, eventually you're going to want your $20 back. So when you are a sole proprietor or a single member LLC or a general partnership or an LLC taxed as a general partnership, the way in which you pay yourself are three ways. And I go into detail in my course, rapidtaxsavingsformula.com. So the first way that we pay ourselves is through, and all of us do this, it's called a distribution. So the official accounting term and tax term, distribution, means the return of capital. That's too fucking confusing, pardon my French. So instead, Jonathan says that distribution is profit first that is given back to the owners. So while you're keeping over here, you should be keeping a set of books, right? QuickBooks Online or something like that. It's going to track the money coming in, the money going out, right? When you look at the profit and loss statement at the bottom, it says net income. When that shows a positive number, that is when you should distribute to yourself. And you use that money to pay for personal things. Now, in Rapid, I actually go into detail way more in terms of what I just shared with you, but that's just the beginning of how we talk about distributions. Only when you show a profit. Well, Jonathan, you just said, though, that most companies don't have a profit for the first 5 years. So how the hell am I going to pay myself? Right? So the second option is you basically contribute money to your business to pay for the expenses related to the business using your personal funds until your business is now profitable, which then can kick back the distributions, the return of profit. And that's important because in the world of accounting, there's a really complex formula called owner's retained earnings. And it says that what capital we put in, the money we're putting in, and by the way, it doesn't have to be money. It could be furniture, fixtures, and equipment. You guys could go out and buy the RV in your own name and then give it to the business to use it for the business. You could go out there, by the way, when you get your hair dryers and your clippers and all that other fun stuff, right? You probably purchase them with your own money and you're going to contribute them to your business. This is called a contribution, and that adds up over time. And why? Because we say beginning capital minus distributions, right? The return of capital, the return of my profits, plus or minus net income or net loss equals net equity. And this is important because if I'm a partner in a partnership, or I'm a shareholder in a corporation or an S corporation, and I have losses, but I don't have enough equity, I'm going to be limited to the loss I can take. And that's important, Stephen and Airel, because we can sometimes tap into the losses to unlock the taxes that you guys are currently paying to the government. So, Stephen, you mentioned that you are military, right? And I imagine when you look at your paycheck, you look at it and it says gross pay. And you're like, why is it gross, right? But it's gross. And then underneath that, you see all these other deductions, right? This, that, this, and that, and blah, 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 and yada, blah, blah, blah. And then you see a little thing called FIT. Like, who's FIT? The government, federal income tax, right? Sometimes you see it as AZIT, like, or SIT, right? SIT or AZIT, right? Like, who sits on this, right? State income tax withholding. This is important because when your business experiences a loss and you do not have partners or shareholders and your company experiences a loss, you can take those losses and reduce all of your income throughout the whole year. Your wages, Stephen, that we pay you, right? Whatever that number is, let's say it's $100,000, all right? But your business realizes $100,000 loss. I ask you, what's 100,000 minus 100,000?
0.
And if 0 times 39.5%, sorry, 37.5%, which is the highest tax rate right now, times 0 equals how much? 0, right?
Yeah.
So one way in which we can unlock cash is by looking at the losses so as to create positive cash, maybe not today, but probably next year when you file your returns. So that's important as a business owner, because here, Stephen, is what you're going to do, right? Is you say, you know what? Since Jonathan's going to run a customized tax roadmap analysis, and he's going to tell us and give us the potential tax savings based on this model that he's talking about, and based on the plan I just uploaded, and based on my prior tax return, which he's not seeing because you were supposed to upload it, but that's okay, right? When I look at all of that, I can say to you, Stephen, Airel, be like one of my clients. that owed the government $72,000 that was an upcoming tax bill. But because they worked with me, they're only sending in a check for just $5,000. So make math easy. 70,000 minus 5,000 equals how much dollars in their pocket? $65,000. And then Stephen, if this was your case and it costed you to hire someone to build out the RV because it's stopping us from making money, right? You could theory go and float the money, right? We call that a loan. A quick loan, a fast loan, a hard loan, some kind of loan, right? You could do that. And then when you get your tax refund, where would you put the money?
Into the loan.
Back into the loan and pay it off.
Okay.
So how does that sound to you guys?
I mean, that's a way to pay for it. So
How did that make you feel knowing that that's a possibility?
yeah, that's
Takes a
good.
little bit of pressure off.
Yeah.
So now I didn't quite answer your full question of how you pay yourself, but I did, talking about distributions, right? So let's see if you were paying attention. And for those of you out there watching, let me know if you're paying attention. So distribution under Jonathan's terms, he defines distribution as what? The return.
Yeah.
The return of income. Yes, the return of profit. So as long as your baby is not producing income, I guess you're not taking a distribution, right? Because now you're robbing from your kid. Now you're stealing from your kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you can end up is like some of my clients who now no longer like this, by the way, because we fix them, is they end up running a whole bunch of debt on the other side, credit cards and personal loans, and right, because they're funding the business over here. And meanwhile, they're trying to pay for things. So we want to just be very mindful of that. And so that's important because it helps you to watch and monitor your cash flow, being strategic, which you guys have done through your business plan and going, well, we're going to fund it here. We're going to fund it here. We're going to fund it here, right? It helps you to make those critical decisions you have to make in order to be a profitable business. Uncle Sam's about you making money, honey, right? So then the next thing is, well, okay, Jonathan, so how else do I get money out? Well, like I said, you can do it through distributions later. You can sometimes borrow the money, and I go into detail in Rapid about how we actually do that correctly. There's actually a process for that. And then the third way, which you're not entitled to do under your current structure. If you are a sole proprietor, I'm talking to you out there, audience, if you are a sole proprietor or a single member LLC or a general partner in a partnership or a LLC taxed as a partnership, you are not allowed to pay yourself a wage. So let that sink in for a minute. You are not allowed to pay yourself a wage. So Jonathan, how do I get money out of my business? A distribution. So right away, it creates the incentivization to start making money, right? And to reduce your expenses, your cash outflow, so you can have that profit, so you can take out a distribution. Now, there are other tax structures that I go into detail in rapidtaxsavingsformula.com, where I actually share with you the other two structures that allow you to pay yourself a wage. And in fact, you are required by law now to pay yourself a wage. So some people out there right now are guessing, and you're right, you're guessing right. Can you guys guess what other entities I might be alluding to?
Not me. You think that? No.
What if I told you that C stands for condoms, also known as a corporation? And so when you form a corporation, you are required by law to pay reasonable compensation to the active shareholders who are managing and running your business. Now, a lot of shareholders, a lot of taxpayers, they think, great, Jonathan, I heard in the grapevine that I can go create an S or a C Corp, and that's what I'm going to do by default. But what no one tells you is that you have more cost, more regulation, and more requirements that you have to follow, which means more unnecessary cash flow coming out of your pocket. The only reason why you'd want to put a condom on is if you were having a lot of sex with people, right? Your business was open up to a lot of liability, then you might want to consider that as an option. The other option, which you guys already mentioned, was the LLC. Good job. You guys are using a dental dam. Stuff still kind of flows out over here, right? So that's important because Uncle Sam's like, I like that. Thank you guys for trying to practice safe sex a little bit, but I'm still going to charge you a premium of tax. And I'm not going to let you pay yourself a wage. So down the road, when you guys start becoming very successful, which I have no doubt, by the way, when you start becoming more successful, eventually you are going to move into one of these entity structures. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Airel, talk to me. You got your mind is you're thinking. Talk to me, girl.
I don't know. I was just thinking about how that would go with moving into a different kind of structure and like what the process of that would be.
So there's a ways. So the way I work is there's two methodologies, right? One way is you could pay us to do it for you and be done with it and walk away, toodles noodles, right? Or you can pay us to not only set it up for you, but also to manage it with you throughout the process. And so that's how I work. So I created a long time ago two really amazing packages. I have to say that about my own kids, right? Because just in case you don't know, I'm the father of three. So I have a 19-year-old. His name is JB Financial. That's my tax prep business and planning business. I had an unplanned pregnancy 2 years ago and gave birth to my other company called Naked Tax Talk, which is what we're talking on right now, which is my marketing business. And then, of course, I gave birth to Jonathan Bengal, which is really the coaching and advisory business that you're interacting with right now as me sitting in this chair with you. So what I realized a long time ago is that taxpayers like yourself really need help with getting started, right? We don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing. And so the first thing is I created this thing called 5 Steps to Business Financial Happiness. And I will leave the link for you guys to download. I'm also going to put it in the show notes for you, the viewers out there, to download. And what it is, it's the foundation to business ownership. So I alluded to a couple of things today in this conversation with you, but in my 5 steps, I go into a little bit more depth in terms of how I think. Now, here's the thing. It's actually what I call my SEED method. And it's spelled PSEAD. So the truth of the matter is, before we can actually talk about your business in its entirety, Airel and Stephen, especially you, Airel, is that we have to talk about the profit mindset. That's the P. We have to unlock your potential so that you can step into the light of who you were born to be, which is this badass CEO that I know. By the way, I say this as a compliment. Badass bitch that's sitting in front of me. I can see it. You got the face, you got the look, you got the attitude. I know this already, right? And so when we step into that power and we own it, baby, when we own it, right? There are no words and there's no actions that can stop us from fulfilling our life's purpose, which is to deliver happiness to the world. And then when we're done, we got to talk about the separation of self. I've alluded to that already. I've talked about their babies, right? We talk about that in more detail. And then we talk about the 4 entity structures, because that's important, because when you decide to move into a new entity, you actually unlock more deductions under law. So, for example, we just talked about it. If you're a sole prop, single member LLC, or a general partner partnership, no wages are allowed for you as the owner, right? I said that. But if you become an S or a C Corp, you now have wages, right? Plus other benefits you can pay yourself through your business as well and reimburse yourself through your business, like something called Section 105 medical expense reimbursement plans. So there's ways in which we benefit personally from our business depending on the structure, and we call that a fringe benefit. And if we do not document it, which is what D stands for under PASTE, if we don't SEED, if we don't document it correctly, then what we end up with is an audit that destroys our business. And you could be like one of my clients that owed $98,000 because they failed to have the right documents. And then we have to talk about then the actual advanced deductions. So in Rapid, I actually teach you how to hire the little ones that are around you right now, and how you actually save money in your tax life, which creates more money in your business, which then allows you to continue to do the upgrades and the buying and the investing and all that through your business. So that's really Rapid. And based on where you're at and the questions you asked me today, I would highly recommend that you consider becoming a student of mine through Rapid Tax Savings Formula. Now, when you're ready for that move, you let me know, because we work with a whole bunch of different organizations, and my other two businesses fund as well. And we actually have a scholarship for women entrepreneurs such as yourself that helps to pay the majority of the class. So the investment is $15.97 for a 5-week course. I teach it live, and I do it every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Or you apply for the scholarship and it drops the price all the way down to just $3.97. And in this space is where you'll be joined with other entrepreneurs, either virtually or pre-recording and getting their emails back or whatever, but you join others and we continue to learn in a very similar way in which I'm helping you today. And so I answer some of your questions even more specifically inside of the class as well to help you, because I know right now you got a lot of questions popping up. I know you have a lot, am I right? So we take those questions and we hammer those out so that you can have what I call the PFS effect, which is personal financial security. And what that means is that the ability to remove the fear, because see, fear is what holds us back. Fear is what keeps us from making decisions. Fear is what keeps us in our place. Fear is what devalues us and deworthanizes us, if that's even a word. When we're able to move beyond the fear, we step in this place called confidence, walking with faith, walking with who we are, that badass CEO you were born to be. And because of that, we're able to make better business decisions and difficult decisions. Like, am I going to reduce my prices, or fighting with the vendors to negotiate new rates on hair product, or negotiating with whomever, or dealing with whatever, or dealing with an angry client, whatever, right? It's about being able to make those decisions that can take you from a startup, like one of my clients, they came to me with a napkin. They wrote out their idea on a napkin that are now a multi-7-figure business. And that's important because here's the thing, right? Personal financial security is about fulfilling our wish. Let's be real, all right? Let's be naked. We're all selfish, baby. It's all about me. Let's be real, right? It's all about me. And so I want to make a whole bunch of money. Why? To fulfill my dreams, right? The dreams that I didn't have as a kid, or the reality that I didn't have as a kid, right? Maybe for some of you watching my show, maybe you grew up like I did in extreme poverty to a single mother who raised 2 boys on just $500 a month and did not have the right education, had to fight really hard to maintain his 3.9 GPA and graduate number 4 out of 400 students and get full ride scholarships to university. Or maybe you're like someone like myself who was fired 3 times for just being who you are and having to find your own mission in life. Or maybe you're someone like me who simply realizes that your purpose is to deliver happiness. And we use the money to offer and answer and create the wishes into our reality. But it doesn't stop there, Airel. It does not stop there, baby. No. It goes further than that. It's also about fulfilling the wishes of that hot husband you have right next door to you. It's about fulfilling the wishes of your children, tending them and giving them the opportunities as well. So that's what happens when my clients work with me through my rapidtaxsavingsformula.com course, or they step into what we call the Bengal experience. And the Bengal experience was given by my 9th graders, actually, because they would go around and they would say, take Mr. Bengal's class. It's the Bengal experience, right? So the reality is that in the Bengal experience, what you're doing with me right now, you get that on a one-on-one basis with me. Not with my staff, no one else, me. You also get access to rapidtaxsavingsformula.com. And here's the beautiful thing. You get unlimited tax answers to your tax questions. You also get all of your tax work done, all the compliance, the tax returns, the 1065s, 1120Ss, 1040s, all that other stuff gets done for you. You don't have to take on that burden. Why? Because girl, you're too busy making me pretty. Right? And then I also realized too, right, that you need someone to help you with your books. You can either decide to do them yourself, which I always encourage because it helps you to understand just the basics, a year. That's all I ask of my clients. 1 year, do a little bit by yourself. And then after that, you're going to pass it on to us because now you'll be able to monitor and watch your own numbers with confidence. right? And our team is working with you in partnership. So we call this the Bengal experience. And I'm really, really proud to say that right now, our average tax savings for our clients is over $40,000 a year in tax savings. For the year 2020, for those that were proactive, that came in, we're over $890,000 in tax savings for those clients. Here's the truth of the matter. If you want to experience me in any way, you have to act now. And I don't say that as a pushy sales guy, because that's not where I'm coming from. I say you have to act now because you don't want to be like my client that just had to cut a check for $30,000 to the IRS because they failed to come to me last year before the year was over. Because it is illegal for me as an IRS enrolled agent that's licensed by the Internal Revenue Service to help you to purposely avoid paying taxes. I can do that after the year's closed, so I'm cheating. But Uncle Sam doesn't like that. And if he says, you know what, you want to save that kind of money, you have to act before it's over, meaning 12/31, 11:59 p.m. Does that make sense? Now, I'm going to share with you guys another little secret before we end the show. And that is that you are creating a startup. So you're starting it up, right? It's like burping up, burp, 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 right? Uncle Sam has a little rule around startups. And this is what he says to you. He says, Airel and Stephen, I congratulate you for taking destiny into your own hands and creating a here nor there mobile hair salon and beautifying people and helping them to get back their glam so they feel confident to make more money too. So Uncle Sam says, I like that you did that. And I understand that you spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that happen in year one. But unfortunately, because you don't have any clients, because you didn't have a grand opening and said, hey, come get your haircuts from me, and you started selling your haircuts and your makeup and all that stuff, you're not entitled to all the losses that would free up the money that's been tied up on the tax return. So he's going to say to you, which is what I share to you right now, is that let's not let the RV stop us from opening up our doors of opportunity. Because as the founder of eWomen Network, Sandra Yancey, said it best this year, a missed opportunity is the greatest expense. So with that, may I ask, is there anything that you learned today, and did you have any aha moments?
Yes, a couple things.
Would you care to share with us?
The distribution, like paying ourselves, that was like I didn't. And knowing that the S corps and C corps are lawful, or you have to pay your employees, didn't know that. So let's see what else I got here.
Stephen is what kind of bathrobe? I used to have a quiz called what kind of bathrobe are you when it comes to your taxes? And if I'm correct, you are a regular bathrobe, but you have a pocketbook on the side. That's where you keep all your notes and your analysis, and right. So here's what I know. Here comes a sales tip to my future sales guys out there, my fellow accountants out there. Are you ready? So Stephen, when I present my findings, probably in a couple of weeks, because they're going to upload their returns to me, I'm going to actually show him, like, this is the taxes that you've been paying. This is the taxes that you're not going to pay. And this is the investment to work with me. And this is your return of your investment. By the way, last tip, and just the tip. When we spend money as entrepreneurs, we should always be asking ourselves, well, there's two questions, which is in my book, The ABCs of Deductions of Entrepreneur's Guide to Write-Offs. But we should also be asking another question, which is return on investment. By giving money in this situation, what are the odds that I'm going to make it back plus more money? So to give you an idea, we just did a plan for a client. They paid over $72,000 in taxes. Not my fault, their fault, right? And their CPA's fault, which is even worse. They worked with us. We charged them some money. And what they got back was it was 190% on their investment. Right now, Stephen, how much are your savings accounts paying you to put your money in that savings account?
Not that much.
Maybe 1%. Imagine 190%. That's how I work. So for those of you out there who are my accountants and fellow viewers right now, and you're going, how do I talk to someone like Stephen who likes to keep notes and likes to see things? This is how we're going to do it. Airel, you're a little more quiet. You're a little more reserved, but you're a badass. You're a badass, and I know you are, right? I know you are. But that also says to me that there's a sense of you that's soft and sweet and kind and really about that heart-based place. And so with you, you should know that you and we're going to put on a really big, fluffy bathrobe. And it's going to be both you and me and your husband, and we're going to work as a team, as a partnership, because that's what it's really about. JB Financial and Jonathan Bengal, we only work with just a very select few clients. And the reason for that is because it is about a partnership. It is about keeping you and making you successful. Because let's be real, girlfriend, a partnership is about equanimity. I make you money, AKA you don't give it to the government. And I make money by keeping you happy, by keeping you from giving it to the government legally. So it's an equitable situation. We're both partners in this, and we both need to fulfill those obligations to one another. So when you come to work with me, whether it's in Rapid or whether it's through the Bengal experience, what you're experiencing today is what you get each time.
That's a lot of energy.
I did say I was a business intuitive. So my current, by the way, I have sales coaches in case you couldn't tell. Okay. So this is something you will do eventually too. Maybe I'll be your sales coach. I don't know. I'm a business intuitive. I just go wherever my clients want to go. Right. So my point is that my coaches right now would be like, close the deal, have them hit the buy button. Right. So here's what I'm going to tell you guys, because this is a show and because this is a little bit of a conversation we're having. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it the right way. And that's Stephen's way, actually. And that is that I want you guys to upload your recent tax return to me from 2020. And Airel, I have homework for you. I want you to really consider starting here and there salon. I want you to just be brave. And I want you to just tell the world that you are cutting hair and you're styling people and you're making them beautiful, because there are a lot of ugly people in the world, okay? So you are going to start making people beautiful. Do that now. Do it ASAP. Do it before the end of the year. Let's not let I don't have a place to do this and hold us back. Let's not let I don't have the money hold us back. Let's let nothing hold us back. Let's just move forward. And what I can promise you, someone like me will make sure that when you make that move, you don't fall and you don't crash and crumble and burn. That's my promise to you.
Well, thank you for that. That's definitely in the back of my head. So it's nice to have some reassurance that people can do this. So,
Airel, I started in my own house here. So in the other room, which is my husband and I, we have 2 living rooms in the house I live in. So I have a living room and he has a living room, right? Thank God, otherwise we kill each other. But my business really did. It started in my living room. And I was just all about I'll help you prepare your taxes, I went from just barely making any money to my husband was the primary breadwinner to now I'm a multi-6-figure business owner by working with just a select few of clients. I know what it's like to sit there and go, okay, I just got to get this done. I just got to do it. And I'm so afraid. I'm so nervous. Oh my gosh, what if I crash and burn? But Airel, I ask you, when was the last time that you failed so hard? And when was the last time that you rose out of those ashes to become who you are today? So nothing in this world has the power to hold you back.
Yeah, it's very inspirational, and I don't know. I feel a little bit more confident talking to someone about logistics now. So that's definitely a plus.
Can I just have you do like a little bit like, yeah, bitch, yeah, yeah, like, yeah, I'm the shit.
Take your shirt off. No, I'm
No.
just kidding.
No.
And Steven will see, he's your cheerleader, right? He's the cheerleader. He's the one who's like, baby, look here, let me motivate you. I'll flex an arm too, I'll get you motivated, right? But he's your cheerleader, right? So needless to say, let's wrap this up. So you are going to start this ASA pronto, okay? And here's why. I forgot to mention this. There's a little bit of a loophole. The moment you open up your business and you start taking on clients, all right, your business losses, I told you, would be limited if you don't take on clients, right? They're limited to the loss. But the moment you start taking on new clients before the year is over, you're going to unlock all these losses. And then you have the potentially, to be like one of my clients that also started up this year. Oh, no, sorry, in 2020 during COVID. And they had a huge loss, not on purpose, just because of the way things turned out. We were able to get them back $301,205 in back taxes that they had already paid. Meaning Uncle Sam's dying to give you your money back.
Jeez.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
All right. And they are a startup, just like you. They didn't have revenue until the very end of the year in November. They opened up their doors and it unlocked everything for us.
Okay.
All right. So what's your takeaway, Airel? What did you take away? And I know there's at least more than one, but you can give me at least 2 takeaways.
Well, let's see.
I'll read my notes.
Okay, I won't do it.
Tap into your soul, tap into your
Yeah.
essence of who you are, and just speak from your heart.
I guess my takeaways were I think the paying myself was a big question about it. So about starting and worrying about doing the right thing. So that gave me some insight. But also realizing that maybe there's a lot of people that start from where we are with grew up poor and don't have much to really experience or educated in this way. And so we're just kind of learning as we're going. And I don't know, I kind of feel alone, but it sounds like a lot of people start here. So
They do. You're not alone. You're never alone. We're all in this world together. And yes, you are looking at somebody who did, I said, grew up really poor. And if you ever hear me speaking on other stages, I always talk about that because it's important that we acknowledge that, right? Like acknowledge all of the abuse, physical, emotional, spiritual, etc., all of that, and being able to overcome that through, again, the profit mindset and really tapping into that and unlocking that potential. So even now as a business owner, I have that confidence to say, this is what I'm worth. Right? This is who I am. And I refuse to change anything about me. Right? Or when the client comes to you and says, I'm not paying you that, you're not worth that. You can laugh in their face and say, well, too bad. People already do. Right? So it's a great way. So I'm telling you right now, it is possible. Anything is possible. We just have to believe it, affirm it, and make the wish. Because here's what I know to be true. Airel and Stephen, is that you both made a wish. And hopefully I've been part of answering that wish for you. So with that, I'm Jonathan Bengal here with Naked Tax Talk Raw. I think every single one of you have been watching this show and soon to be listening to it on the podcast. If you have any questions or comments about today's episode, feel free to drop a line, send me a message, happiness@jonathanbengal.com. Also, please feel free to check me out, jonathanbengal.com. If you want to learn about more about rapid tax savings formula.com, you can go there. And if you'd like access to my 5 steps to financial happiness, I'll put that in the show notes. Stay tuned to next time because I don't know who's going to join my show. But if you have a burning, yearning tax question and you'd like a consultation out of it, but you would rather be a guest on my show, again, hit us up, happiness@jonathanbengal.com. Until then, let's always remember why we're entrepreneurs, to make mucho, mucho, mucho dinero. Until next time, I'm Jonathan Bengal. And thank you to Airel and Stephen for for joining me and for sharing your questions so that we can be a benefit to each other, but also to a benefit for others. So thank you both.